Hello, everyone. I'm Kelly Covert, and I am so excited to be sitting down with our guest artist, pianist Steven Heyman. Steven, how are you today?
I'm great, Kelly. How are you?
Good. And, we're longtime friends through teaching music here in Syracuse. So when I knew that you were performing with us, I was so thrilled that we would get to have a little chat so I could get caught up on what you're doing these days.
That's great. And it's my pleasure to be playing with old friends again. Uh, and we've played together for so many years. I'm looking forward to yet another opportunity.
Right. And so this actually is sort of, you were scheduled to play, I think, Mendelssohn with us last
Correct.
season, and
Right.
that got canceled due to the pandemic. And then things have been very up in the air for us because we weren't sure if we were going to be able to have enough musicians on stage. But now that we are back to full orchestra concerts, we are so excited that you'll be playing Beethoven with us. And it was kind of a last minute surprise for you, right?
Bit about 5 weeks ago, John Garland called up and said that there was an opening on this concert, or they were wondering whether I might be interested in playing. And of course, I'm interested in playing anytime with Symphonia, because as I said, for me, it's like my home. I've played so many times with the group, and everybody is a long history with everybody. I'm just really looking forward to playing with everyone. And then John said, "Well, you don't really have to do the Mendelssohn again if you don't want to. Is there something else you'd like to play?" And I immediately thought of, oh, I just love to play Beethoven Third because it's one of my all-time favorite pieces.
hmm So, what is your process? I mean, 5 weeks. I think to myself, if I had 5 weeks to prepare a concerto, even one that I knew, that's kind of a lot of pressure. What was your process to get ready for the concert?
Well, it's interesting because in talking with both Peter and Linda Loomis about this, it made me think that I first played this concerto back in the early 1980s, um, which is quite a while ago. Uh, and I happened to win a national competition, and the prize was to play this piece with orchestra. So I've actually done this quite a few times since then. And 3 or 4, maybe 5 years ago, I got a chance to do this with Leon Fleischer. So I was super prepared for that particular concert. So I've played a lot of Beethoven. I just recently finished, again, the whole violin sonata cycle of all 10 sonatas. So I've been playing a lot of Beethoven lately. So that's, I think, another reason why Beethoven came to mind. Uh,
hmm
I was able to kind of get it back pretty quickly. And I'll just say one other quick story. When Cecile Lecoq was supposed to play years ago with Maestro Akiyama, she got snowed in New York, and they weren't quite sure whether she was going to make it up for the Beethoven Third. Do you remember that?
I do remember that actually.
And so they called me the night before and said, if Cecile can't make it, can you play tomorrow? And so I frantically went to the piano, and I got it back in my fingers, and I had it memorized again overnight. And so I had that experience in my mind that 5 weeks was probably going to be enough time.
Yeah, if you can do it in 24 hours, chances are 5 weeks should be enough.
Well, but it had a little time to simmer, and I feel like I'm ready to go, and so looking forward to this.
Fantastic. Well, and it's kind of like riding a bike, coming back to an old friend and that muscle memory probably just kicks right in, and then you just have to polish it a little bit and make it feel like it's yours again, right?
Right, but playing any piece, whenever you come back to it, you have this feeling that, gee, I really should know how this goes, but you're always finding something new. And those new things are what keep you going and what keep you practicing.
So true. I actually, a teacher once told me every time they returned to a piece that they had played before, they would actually buy new sheet music.
Oh,
So
interesting.
they wouldn't even be influenced by their previous markings or where they were breathing. For a flutist, you have to
Sure.
mark all of that in. And I thought that's such an interesting take. I like to return to my old music because then I can also see, oh, I'm doing this better now than I was before or differently. But I think each person has their own sort of like way that they journey back to a piece.
Well, I mark a lot of my own comments in the score, and I look back and I say, why did I think that?
What was I thinking?
What was I thinking? And I also have a lot of my teachers' markings in there, so it really makes me feel very nostalgic for the days of having someone over my shoulder saying, you should think this way. My teacher worked with Schnabel, so I mean, there's a great lineage of Beethoven playing there. So uh, I'm enjoying looking at my old score again.
I love that too. And even the handwriting, the handwriting of your teacher just like makes you feel like you're back in that studio again, hearing those loving, maybe sometimes not loving comments that they gave you.
Not loving comments, yes.
So, speaking of teaching, have you been continuing to teach during the pandemic?
Yes, during the fall semester, it was a hybrid of both in person and online. And last spring was online after everything shut down. This semester, I'm back to teaching full time uh, in person. I have 6 students at Syracuse University right now getting ready to play full recitals. Uh,
Wow.
and so there we have limitations of only 10 people in the hall. There are some limitations, but we're moving forward with live performances.
Fantastic. And I'm so glad that you've been able to continue. Did you enjoy or learn anything new about your teaching style through teaching online lessons?
You know, it's a good and a bad thing. One thing about teaching online is I had all my students send me lots of videos. So
Mhm.
it wasn't only that I was seeing them play during in real time. I was able to kind of acclimate myself to the sound of the computer. I really miss being there in person. It's really never the same because for me, playing music is a lot about sound and tone quality. I was brought up in the tradition that that really influences your interpretation. And I don't have a huge technical setup for my online services, and so I'm kind of at the mercy of what I'm able to use. So it has its drawbacks, but I'm we're making do.
hmm That's so interesting. And, one of my favorite things to talk about when it comes to piano is this idea of tone. Because I think, when I play flute, when you think of flute, tone is like integral
Mhm.
to how you produce a sound. And, it's really depends on the kind of equipment that you're playing on and the setup of your muscles and your face. But when you think of piano, some people think, well, you just sit down and you press a key. But really, there's so much more to it. Can you tell us about what you mean when you say tone when it comes to piano?
Well, for me, where you actually press your fingers down, the sound actually emanates at least 3 feet away from you. So, of all the instruments, we have no physical contact with the tone that we produce. And similar with organ, of course, but everybody else has human contact. Think of a string player; they get to vibrate. You get to breathe and play vibrato. Everybody else has a real touch. So. We're a percussion instrument, but yet we're trying to be as expressive as we can. There's so many different schools of thought. I don't think there's one correct way to play. There's millions of people that play in the world, and everybody has their own different way. I was raised on the Russian tradition, which means you draw your tone up out of the piano, which kind of seems antithetical to the way you would think about pressing the keys down. But it gives a nice, warm, lush kind of tone. People like Rubinstein and Horowitz and Gilels, they all came from that Russian tradition.
Yeah. Well, we'll be so interested to hear your tone
Thank
and
you.
your interpretation. And another challenge, and I think that oftentimes non-musicians don't always realize this, but another great challenge for the pianist is that you never get to perform on the same instrument that you've been practicing. So, how do you navigate that challenge?
Well, unlike people like Eugene List and Horowitz, nobody gets to travel with their own pianos, but some people do. So good for them. I'm actually going in the hall twice before the concert to try and make friends. I played this piano before. Um, you have to alter your technique a little bit. It depends on the speed at which you attack the key.
hmm
All kinds of the pedal is almost the most variable thing from instrument to instrument. After a while, I played so many different instruments in my life. You sort of learn how to navigate as best you can. Sometimes it doesn't work as well as others, and you're kind of at the mercy of the instrument. We're fortunate that we have good instruments in town and the great technicians, so I'm not anticipating any problems, but it's always a challenge.
Right. Well, and I'm sure that it's one that you are up for. And Steve, I know I speak for all of the Symphoria musicians that we are so thrilled to share our stage with you and that we are looking forward to this concert. So everyone who is watching, make sure you get your tickets for Saturday, March 20th. And the concert begins at 7:30 on the dot with the Beethoven first. So Steve, we're so grateful.
I'm so thrilled to have been asked, and I'm really looking forward to the experience.
Right. And what I meant is it's the Beethoven third piano concerto, and it is being performed first on the concert.
Exactly.
All right.
No, Kelly, I don't have time to relearn the first.
Please don't make me learn the first. All right, Steve. Well, thank you so much.
Great talking to you, Kelly. See you soon.